Hi, I'm Lauren.
Hi, I'm Sierra.
Hi, I'm Irma.
Hi, I'm Sabrina.
And we're going to be talking about parenting in gay and lesbian families, ranging from the stresses, their transition, and any benefits of being in a same-sex family. So our first topic is pathways to parenthood. So Sierra, can you expand on that?
Pathways to parenthood, that's basically about how the lesbian or gay family decides to go about having kids. Like, for example, lesbians, they can go through insemination or surrogacy or adoption, but it's all on how much money they're willing to spend on it. And basically, adoption and surrogacy is mainly what gay men will go through, because that's the only way they can have a child, especially with like their sperm.
Mm-hmm. Is it expensive to do?
All depends on what you decide to do. Like, the cheapest thing to do is public adoption, which is $0 to $2,500. Then the most expensive will be surrogacy, which is $115,000 to $150,000. But there's other ways besides adoption and surrogacy. Like I said before, you have insemination, which is $500 to $1,000. So it's basically all in what you're willing to spend to try to have a child.
So Irma, what are the reasons for having children?
Well, for gay men, it's about finding psychological and personal fulfillment. And it's just like heterosexual families who choose to have a family because they want to have the feelings of what it is to be in a family and raise a family, have someone to love and be loved. And then they want to be able to enhance their personal security for the future. Then you have the legacy of carrying out the family name. And one or both women who want to experience, in a lesbian relationship, you might have one or the other wanting to experience what it's like to have a child.
Mm-hmm. All right. So it's mostly the same reasons any couple would want to have a child.
Correct.
Okay. Sabrina, what are the transitions to parenthood?
Well, some of the transitions are similar to the heterosexual couples as well. They like sleep deprivation that all parents will experience, less time with each other as a couple, and balancing the work and family roles. The transition is usually gay men decide, and parenthood is usually older, white men with higher incomes because they're able to afford the processes that Sierra mentioned before. Also, for adoption, lesbian couples have the same transition to parenthood, except that they might receive a little less family support, so have maybe a smaller support system. And many lesbian couples do decide to let the biological father play a role. However, it's not usually a parenting role. It's an involvement of some sort, but they're not considered a main parent.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, Sierra, what are the stresses of being in a same-sex family?
Being in a same-sex family, or being one in general, is basically you're discriminated. People prejudice about you because you're not a typical family that everyone thinks you should be, because it's two mothers or two fathers. After, especially in adoption, after the child is placed in the home, some parents go through post-placement stress, which is basically just stress because they're trying to figure out, oh, this is new, I don't know what to do, how am I going to handle this? Another typical stress is, especially on the child, when the traditional holidays like Mother's Day and Father's Day, you have to talk to your child to figure out how you're going to celebrate those typical traditional holidays, especially if they're in school and they have their friends asking them about them. Another stress is basically being that legal marriage is just basically new. It just happened a couple of years ago. Some people still don't believe in it, and they still have hate in it, and try to figure out why people want to be with someone of the same sex.
Mm-hmm. So Irma, what are some of the challenges with the lesbian and gay couples?
Well, lesbian couples, children might have where they prefer one mother over the other. And so the other mother might feel rejected. And like we mentioned, she might feel rejected, especially if she was the one that carried the baby. It might be hard for her. There's also a lot of worry on the parents about, children being stigmatized and being bullied at school. And then gay and lesbian couples feel that they need to live in areas where there are more lesbian and gay couples, just because, like Sierra mentioned, it's still something that's fairly new. And so there's still a lot of prejudice about it, and there's a lot of hatred towards it. So in order for families to feel safe, they need to be in areas that are of common interest.
Okay, so Sabrina, what are, or how do children develop in same-sex families?
Well, research has shown that children actually develop the same, even in same-sex families. Their sexual orientation does not appear to have any correlation with the sex of their parents. They do sometimes learn their parents' sexual orientation differently, however, especially in the case of when the parent gets involved in a same-sex relationship after they've already had children, so that can be a sudden change for them. But if the child was placed by adoption or birthed by that couple, then they will learn it gradually, just as any other child does.
Sierra, so what are some benefits of growing up in a same-sex family?
Some children, they learn how to basically accept another person's point of view. They're more open about talking about their feelings and their problems because of that relationship they have with their parent or with their parent's partner. They have a broader definition of more than just the typical tradition family that, it's more to just family than what society wants. And then they basically learn the roles of, there's no typical definition of a gender role, and that they don't have to live up to what society wants them to live up to, and that they can still do anything they want, no matter what gender they are.
So, do you guys have any tips for any gay or lesbian parents or anyone that wants to be a parent?
Basically just plan carefully when you're about to go through the process of having kids, and how will you be able to meet that child's need. Utilize the available resources that you have, and also try to maintain equality when it comes to things in the household, and try to separate it and let everyone have basically a role in doing something in the house.
Yeah, and also having open and honest communication is important for the family, and encourage children to have their individual interests and understand why a child might have or they might have their parents' sexual orientation.
All right, and along with what they've already covered, create a close parent-child relationship. Have a supportive community and foster that support within your community, and connect with other LGBT families, resources within the community.
Those are some great tips, guys. Thank you guys for coming to talk.
Yeah.
I don't know how you
Bye.
Bye.